Alright, so today we got a little something different, just a little enhancement for your mining pleasure. We're going to actually take the 32 SCU worth of bags off and put mole bags on, which takes us from 32 SCU up to 48 SCU capacity. Used to be pretty straightforward. Take the bags off, put the bags on. And sometimes it still works. However, if it doesn't, we've got a workaround. So, step one, obviously, take the bags off. Make sure you unlock the ports, otherwise, you won't be able to take them off. So, we'll take all 4 bags off. I've already got some mold bags to the side over here. As you can see, I've tried this before since there's some Prospector bags right there. And apparently these cages they've got on the side have some kind of a physics collision issue. So they won't let you put the mole bags on sometimes. Or even put the prospector bags back on. So we're going to have to remove those, which I'll show you here in a bit. And once we get this done, we'll store it and save it. And then we'll go out and do a little mining just to make sure it works. And after that, we'll refine it and enter it in regolith. I should also mention that you probably ought to turn your shields off first. Never fear, it's back. Alright, so let's go turn shields off. Yes, you can let your ship hover like this. We'll get the bags off first, then we'll take the shields down. Since we're going to need these off anyway. You can't actually let your ship hover like that with a prospector, mainly because we have the ladder that just basically says enter the ship. So therefore, as long as you're close enough to be able to read the little F showing up, you can actually do it. Not necessarily always the best when you're trying to do something, but it does work. This particular prospector we're running actually has my standard setup with the Hofstede S1 and then a Riger C3, just to give me that little extra boost. And then of course I always carry a Saber and usually an Optimax on me as well. Saber to reduce resistance, Optimax for those rocks that aren't too big. I can put that on to help with clustering to get better breaks. So 324.2, actually 324 period, has been a time for gadgets for sure. And they do seem to persist through soft wipes now, so you don't necessarily lose them all. Alright, so we're going to go and put the landing gear down on this thing and go ahead and get it on the ground. Because once we take the cages off, we should be able to put them on with no problem. I had it up in the air in case I had to get up underneath it with the bag. And I forgot to do the shield. Make sure you turn the shield off. Can't shoot the little cages off without taking the shield down. You're not going to do enough damage with a rifle to do anything with it. So we'll go into actions and then ship systems, there you go. And then shields disable. Just make sure you turn these back on when you're done. Don't want anybody getting shot. Prospector's not very survivable to begin with. We don't need to make it worse. Alright. Since we're already on this side as far as spacing goes, we'll go ahead and start over here. So basically those white cages, you just got to shoot them until they fall off. It will take a few magazines, so make sure you have enough. I mean, obviously depending on what you're using. If you're using an FS9 it might be quicker, but a P4AR ammo is cheap and plentiful. And I just always have some. So There we go. All right. Now that the cage is gone, now we can put the bag on. Do both of them on this side, then we'll run around and do the other side. And then we'll rinse or repeat. Shoot the cage off, replace the bags. At this point, since you have all the bags off, even if you wanted to put the prospector bags back on, you would still have to take the cages off. Otherwise, the physics collision wouldn't allow you to get close enough with them. I'm also doing this here because that way you can see it can be done in the hangar with no problem if you already have a bowl. Or a buddy that has a bowl, you can do it in his hangar. Obviously, it's taking so long to load because I didn't have any magazines on my belt. So we'll fix that. There we go. There we go. So now we've got both of them off. And you see me using the large tractor beam here, but just so you know, this does not work for the bags. Or at least not reliably. I'll show you here in a minute. This is actually a misc bag. Which I didn't realize at the time. Because I've got too much stuff in my hangar. And as you can see when I get close, it's not even trying to put it on. Regardless of what I do with it. Alright, and now if we switch back to this multi-tool, now it works. And there you can see the aha moment when I realized I grabbed the wrong bag. So. And I usually save these because sometimes people lose their bags and they're looking for some, so I'll just leave them in the hangar. And that way I've got them if I need them. I probably won't need them, but you never know. And I'm kind of checking these bags to make sure I got the right ones. Usually they used to say Argo on them. And they probably still do somewhere. But I know I actually did those ones right because I can count the bags that are missing from the mole pile. All right, so there we go. One more to go. All right, now that we got the bags on, now we have to do a couple of things. Well, multiple things actually, not a couple. So we have to lock the ports again so they don't come off. We need to repair the ship to replace the baskets. And then we need to actually store, make a change on the ship and recover it, save it, so that we can lock it in place. So that way if something happens where we get blown up or have to abandon the ship and claim it, we'll get the mole bags on it as well as part of the ship. We'll turn the shields back on, obviously, too. Alright, so So now we'll take it back over in the middle. We'll get it repaired. We'll watch it magically appear here in a moment. All right, there we go. So now they're back. So now we'll have to get out of the ship and store it because you can't do it here. And you can see in the bottom right corner there how it says 48 SCU. So that means we've worked. We've got it. And now we'll store it and make a change to one of the systems. I'm going to fast forward through some of this just to keep the video kind of shorter. Because after this, we'll take it out and show you that it works. Alright, doesn't matter what you remove and replace. Just unequip it, save it, re-equip it, save it, and you're done. That's all it takes. And now we'll go do some mining with it after we call the ship back up. So, skipped ahead a little bit. Here we are on the belt. I've actually got a saber on this already, so we're going to go ahead and crack it. Looks like 12 point something K, 12.7. So, needs a saber with a Hofstein for this. Looks like, what, about 36% Terranite, some corundum. And you'll notice in the bottom right corner that it says cargo 00 SCU. That is not uncommon. Happens all the time. It's not anything to worry about. Once I start collecting, it'll actually show the right capacity. So, bear with me a little bit while we break the rock here. Obviously, it'll take a little bit of time. And then we'll probably have some secondary breaks to do as well. You honestly just can't beat the belt for mining without being interfered with. Basically just take your prospector out and get lost. Once they get things like the Liberator in and so forth, it'll even be better. Especially if you can actually remove and replace the bags. You just go out with the Liberator and a bunch of mining bags. And a prospector. Or even an expanse and a prospector and a Liberator. Refine your ore as you go. Or for those of us that got the Araster, we'll just do it that way. Refine it as we bring it in. But if you're in the industrial gut gameplay, better get used to doing this kind of stuff. This and salvage both. Because that's what you'll need to feed the machines. To be able to craft and base build. And obviously there'll be other things that are needed. And there'll probably be stuff we have to buy as well. But the core of it will be the minerals and the ores. It'd be really nice is if they actually let us make our own catalyst too. Maybe not make it so we have to, but just that we can. Although that'll probably be another blueprint. But honestly, I'm okay with that. The way it sounds, they're going to be able to let you make just about anything in the game. Alright, so we're charging it up. I usually try to keep mine about half or below, but definitely above the minimum. That way, just in case there's any kind of glitches or anything like that, it doesn't blow up on you. Nothing ruins a trip quicker than blowing a rock up. Either lose your modules or blow your ship up or just do a lot of damage. All right, let's go get our saber here so we can use it again later. Typical rule of thumb on the gadgets: if you get it, if you go back out and it's still lit up but it's not sparking, then it's still good and you can keep using it. If you go out there and the screen looks like it's dead and the piece of equipment is like sparks flying off of it, then it's garbage. You might as well just throw it away. In this case, I see the light already, so I know it's still good. Again, for those not familiar, store it in your backpack because there was a glitch at one point where it would disappear. If you can't, move something in your backpack and it'll let you take it off your backpack. All right, back to the ship. Let's break some more rocks and pick up some more. As soon as I EVA back in. Still getting used to the new mechanics of EVA. Used to be really easy. Now you gotta be careful you fly head first into the ship. Not necessarily conducive to staying damage free. Don't mind me. I was just gonna do some sit-ups while I was waiting to get in the chair. Alright. Doesn't really matter which one we start with because we're probably gonna break it all. Or at least anything that looks promising. And obviously, because it's smaller, we won't need to use a gadget for this. I'm going to break this one because it's in the way. Again, same process. Try to keep it about halfway or less. Doesn't matter whether it's a full rock or a fragment. It'll still hurt when it blows up. Yeah, it wasn't really ideal to get things out of the way, was it? Worked a little bit, I guess. And some chunks take longer than others just because you want to be careful. Obviously, if the window's a little smaller, you go a little slower. And sometimes you get the really little windows. And you're extra careful so you don't go boom. Usually that's with quant. Quantanium, the holy grail of mining. 25 grand in SCU. Then we'll see how useful it is in crafting. I think the crafting and base building is going to make pretty much everything worthwhile because I think you're going to be able to use just about any ore to build something. So you're going to want to have a stockpile of all of it. So with that being said, I've even gotten to the point now where I've started going ahead and refining even the base materials like corundum and aluminum just to get used to doing it. Because I think they'll come in useful later. Obviously, base building and crafting is not in the game yet, but it never hurts to get used to doing something. Just so that when it comes time, you're good to go. Alright, we'll get the rest of these rocks broke here. And then we should be able to start picking up. Like I said, I'll be skipping a lot of the travel and stuff like this on this video. I just want to keep the time down. Because I've already posted like an hour and a half plus video of reclaimer. We won't follow it up with another hour mining. Alright. Next rock. And that's got a decent amount. I can crack it too. Typically, my rule of thumb is I'll even crack 20 and 30 Ks for secondary breaks. Because you never know. Sometimes you might get that lucky break with a high percentage. With the garbage left over in other chunks. Usually, if it's only a couple percent, I won't mess with it. Unless I need to fill my bags or something. Like I said, I think a lot of this is going to go out the window down the road because right now most people go for top tier ores. So basically, Quantanium when you can find it, and then your tier 1 ores are going to be like gold, bexylite, and terranite. But I think once base building and crafting comes in, that's all out the window because pretty much everything's going to be useful. Particularly if you come across like a high quality like aluminum or something like that, then it's going to be more worthwhile to get that probably than to get like a low grade gold or bexylite or something. And who knows, we may find that those things are useless to us for some of the stuff we want to do. We might have to start hitting mid-tier ores like borace and laranite. It's one of the things I'm exciting about. It'll actually make worthwhile to get some of these other ores that nobody messes with right now, and we basically just consider garbage. Yeah, I'm also excited to see what they're going to do with salvage if they are going to follow through with the original plan to make it so you could refine RMC or construction materials and get the components, the component materials. So, like, you'll get X amount of aluminum from a component. I think that's probably going to be farther down the line, but I'm hopeful that they'll still do it. That was the original plan. And I have a feeling we're probably going to end up picking up most of these rocks just because I don't want to have to run around everywhere. But you can see on the bottom right that as soon as I started picking up, it went back to the 48 SCU capacity. So don't be concerned if you see the 0. Just go out and start mining. I mean, there's probably some freak times when it will actually malfunction or something, but that's kind of the risk you take with doing something that they didn't originally plan. I'm honestly just amazed they haven't nixed it. I'm glad they didn't, but I'm surprised they didn't. Then the nice thing about taking the prospector in the belt is you can move around and grab stuff. Whereas with the stuff on planets, you kind of gotta move stuff out of the way or so forth. So go ahead and pick up the bigger stuff first, like the higher percentage, and then we'll go from there. And like I said, I'm probably not going to move to another rock. I'll probably just pick up everything here that has terranite until I'm full. But I'll start with the higher stuff and work my way down just to kind of minimize the amount of junk, like inertment and so forth. There we go. Right around now, you'd normally be kind of being real picky because you don't have a lot of room left. But with that extra 12 SCU or 16 SCU, now you've got a little more room to play around with. You can still get a pretty good load without having to stick with, 75 and 100% pieces, which some people have done. But this just gives you that little bit more leeway to mine how you want to mine. instead of happening to go for the high percentage chunks. Like I said, we're probably going to end up taking the majority of this, but we'll see. All right, and we're full. So now we'll go back and refine. And presto, we're there. So as you can see, Dinix solventation. Got corundum and terranite selected. Get my quote. That's giving me 88.32 for cost in 41 hours. Then we'll go ahead and bring up Regolith. We'll click here, set ship mining. Select the materials we have, terranite and corundum. We'll enter the amount, but we'll pick where we're going to do it first. Enter the amount we picked, and this is the raw SCU or CSCU before it's refined. And then it should automatically calculate it. It's actually a really great program. And it's all web-based, so go ahead and enter your time here. Select where you're going to refine it. And it'll actually give you the price. You can even put in the amount of the refinery fee. So there you go. This load will actually give me 146,000. All right. There you go. That's the run. That's the bags. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Again, just a real quick blurb. We're getting the SIG running, so if you're interested, look us up on RSI 0867 5309. Have a good day.